Welcome to the next episode of the Hidden Gems podcast. This particular segment is on Increment, which is our data visualization tool for blockchain data. I'm joined here with my colleague, Luke. How are you today, Luke?
I'm awesome. Thank you, Ganesh.
So we have a couple of things on the agenda today. Let's start with the Data Alchemist Boot-Camp.
Yeah, so we're running season 2 of our Data Alchemist Boot-Camp. We ran season 1 last year in November, November, and it was a huge success, right? We saw 1,500 to 2,000 applications. We saw about 250 data alchemists and about 125 people complete the program. It was far outside all of our expectations. So we're deciding to run season 2 starting on June 7th, and it's going to be really, really exciting. We're using our new no-code analytics tool, and what this is going to allow us to do is take a step back from just becoming, SQL writers, where we can actually become data analysts, right? We can actually pull this data very easily and quickly, like you should be able to, and then analyze this data and really teach to the analytics.
Our initial expectation with the first boot camp is we would have gotten 50 applicants. And out of 50 applicants, maybe like 10 people would have actually gone through the boot camp, and maybe like 5 people would actually complete the boot camp because the curve is quite steep. It's not synchronous. You don't have to attend lectures or anything, but the course material is pretty intense. It's a boot camp, right?
Yeah.
And so by design, it's meant to weed out 50% of the participants. But having thousands of people apply, and it's not just a simple form. You have to actually submit a 1-minute video on why you need to be a part of this Data Alchemist program. So that far exceeded our expectations, right? So what has happened as a result of that is I think our ambition has just gone a lot more. So if you make the tool simpler, you reach a wider audience, and therefore you can blow out all of these numbers and basically empower a lot more people, increase our reach, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really what's going on with this new season.
Yeah.
Let's go into this no-code solution. Like, what's going on there? Like, why is this special? How does this connect with all of the other initiatives that are happening in the Web3 space?
Yeah, so what we've seen really the role of a data analyst has become an SQL writer, right? Where they're spending so much time sourcing, decoding, joining and unifying tables and wrangling around with this data, that by the time you get to the actual, a nice visualization, you can actually start using the data. You have no time left. So the real focus is on this no-code solution. We've gone to all of the analytics tools out there, looked at all of the charts that people are using, such as, the OP dashboard that the OP team uses, and some of Hildobby's NFT dashboards on June and such. And we've curated all of these charts into an encoded set of dimensions and measures known as a model. And this allows you to just simply click and collect and go, I want to see by day and chain the count of transactions, or the average gas price, or the average sale of an NFT, the floor price, and so on and so forth. So we abstract away all of the complexity, and you just get to sort of click and collect and focus more on the analytics.
Incredible. And just from a one-liner, there are a lot more people who know how to use a mouse than people who can write SQL.
Correct.
So the idea is to just open up this tool, really make it accessible. This bootcamp has a special module never seen before. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so, as everyone's aware, the power of AI and LLMs is really starting to abstract away a lot of the complexity of writing code and even doing analytics. So what we want to do within our course is embrace this as soon as possible and bring a module that's teaching people how to use AI and LLMs to build analytics, to come up with new ideas, to analyze some of the data they create, and so on and so forth. Because if we don't, then you're going to be riding a horse in an F1 race, right? You're just going to be left behind. So that's really the focus there.
Can we expect the attendees of this bootcamp build a tool to write plain English and have that translate into the modeling layer or SQL? Is that something that you can expect as an outcome?
Absolutely. This has been, the holy grail of analytics, and a lot of the analytics tools out there are, running towards this future where someone can just write in a prompt and come up with all of the analytics that they need. So absolutely.
Okay, a follow-on question.
Yeah.
Can I speak to the AI and ask questions like an Alexa, or like it's like, hey Increment, tell me the daily counts of Ethereum over the last 30 days for this DeFi protocol?
Yeah, interesting. I think the tools have become so powerful now, and they're innovating so rapidly that really the speech to text, I don't think is a hard bridge to cross. So once we have the ability to write in like a prompt, really, it's as easy as integrating some of the existing tools out there where you can essentially just talk to your phone or talk to something, and then it translates it into text. So that's definitely something interesting to investigate. But really, once you get that ability to write, I don't think it's that far away. Yeah, so let me return a question back to you, Ganesh. I'm very curious about some of the AI use cases in Web3. We've seen this used as a bit of a buzzword, but the technology is so powerful that really there's a lot of exciting use cases. Can you just jump into that?
Yeah, so I think the AI use cases is going to be a big demand driver for crypto and the technologies underlying. So there's a couple that I can think of off the top of my head. The first is being these autonomous agents will require a payments rails.
Yep.
And so having settlement in a trustless fashion on the state of these agents so that they are kept accountable and the backend is transparent is what blockchains are meant to solve,
Yep.
right? An open ledger. So that's one use case. So if you have all of these agents, autonomous agents, with AutoGPT, for example, settling on the blockchain, that's a huge consumption of block space as a driver for demand. Something else that's super interesting is that if you have structured data, like the way Increment builds these NFT tables, these lending tables, these DEX tables, these governance tables, where we've normalized all of the semantic information, now you can do really interesting things with training and figuring out like fraud detection and bad actors and forecasting all kinds of things. In fact, when a user goes and tries to do NFT trade on OpenSea or Blur, for example, you can use these machine learning models that have been trained from the historical data to figure out if it's a good trade or not, for example, right?
Wash trading and so on and so forth.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot you can do here. And I think we're going to roll some of these products into the Covalent API itself, especially to protect end users. We've just been shipping a lot of like security features like approvals, for example.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing a lot more of those look back based on a model, which is very exciting.
Yeah, super, super important. I think I saw a stat this morning that said there's been around 4 billion stolen in DeFi over the last 18 months. So this is like a huge problem.
Absolutely.
Right? So like that approvals API that we shipped, Sushi just had one of those issues.
Yeah.
Right, where they got like millions of dollars stolen. So it's like really, really important. I think
Yeah.
a really good focus.
Incredible. Okay, so today's session is on Avalanche. So let's start with Prompt Master Avalanche Edition. What's going on here? Maybe we can talk about the results from the Phantom Prompt Master. Maybe just like what is the headline there? What was the outcome?
Yeah, so Prompt Master was a huge success. I think you said to maybe expect 10 or 15, and then we'll move up to maybe 25, 30, 50 to 100. And right out the gate, we saw about 50 submissions from the Phantom community. So really, really compelling engagement. And we saw some awesome submissions from the actual prompt master for Phantom was Longzai, where he dug into some of the comparisons between Avalanche and Phantom. Then Porstol dug deep into like the staking and security and used some of the increment charts as sort of to support some of those claims there that the Phantom team's making. Then Alex really showcased our reach retention revenue framework and really focused in on the business metrics. So it was a great showcase of Increment's framework there. And lastly, a third, Len Duking went really granular into USDC on Phantom and did a whole bunch of DEX analysis, liquidity analysis, the flow of money through Phantom through USDC. So
And to be clear, These guys have had no help from Covalent. It's completely self-serve. They just sign into Increment, click, 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 export a chart, and then build a narrative.
Yeah, so we actually saw about 5 to 10 submissions within the first day, right? So people were right away able to jump in, sign up, and start clicking, collecting the analytics that they need, and some really deep, granular analysis, for example, into USDC, but also some high-level stuff, just sort of comparing, Avalanche and Phantom. So all the way down the stack.
Incredible. Okay, let's talk about Avalanche. What is special about the prompt master competition on Avalanche?
Yeah. So there is like Avalanche's ecosystem is really, really compelling. You have a whole bunch of projects, a whole bunch of the even very popular Ethereum, legacy projects like your OpenSea, your Aave, your Uniswap, right? They're all bridging to Avalanche because the ecosystem is so compelling there. I think, each week or each month they're having a new partnership with, people in South Korea, people in China, people in, America, a bunch of these Web2 companies. So the ecosystem there is just absolutely bustling. So let's jump into some of the high level metrics here using our Chain GDP dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it equal Avalanche, and then I'm just going to change the date range here to this year. I'm going to say in date range of 0301, 25. Define my custom date range, click enter. As you can see, what we've got here is, up and to the right as much as you can sort of get, right? Your daily transactions, your active addresses each day.
Wait a minute. So the active addresses on the mainnet, which is the C chain, has gone from 20,000 that is aggregated daily. So 20,000 daily active addresses at the start of March to almost 80,000. So that's a 4x growth in a couple of months.
Yeah.
2 months, 3 months.
Absolutely crazy. So insane up and to the right activity here. So we're going to actually jump in to a little bit more granular to actually see, but just to show you some of the metrics here, you also have, a huge amount of new users, right? So you talked about the 4x growth. What about this growth? You're seeing under 5,000 each day up to like, 25 to 30,000. So 5-6x growth in the number of new users. Let me actually jump in because, high level, this is cool, but I want to dive into actually, what's causing this, right? So I'll just come back here to the home page, and I'll actually use our Chain GDP model to maybe do a little bit more deeper analysis here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to count transactions for the same period without grouping. What chain would you like to analyze Avalanche? I'm going to define my custom date range. In date range 2023, 0301, 01. And then I'm going to group it by event label. And now what this is doing is we're actually looking at the events, and we've actually done the hard work of decoding a lot of these events, transfers, swaps, mints, so we can actually have a look at what events are actually taking place. So I can run this. As you can see, the most popular is the ones that we haven't decoded. That's just summing up, we can't decode everything. But, your most popular is your transfer, swaps. But what's really interesting is the number of mints. Now, NFTs aren't like huge on Avalanche. Typically, these big NFT projects move to a subnet. So your Krabata, your DeFi kingdoms, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into, this doesn't really show us, anything super compelling. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into the transaction recipient and see what actual contracts are receiving some of these transactions. So we can jump into recipients here. As you see, we're just changing the dimension. So we're just keeping it roughly similar, and we're able to get all of these insights like snappy. What we see is we have like 2 that are pretty much above the rest. So if you want to check out and decode some of these, you can come to like their block explorer and have a look. So we can go here. search for this address. And what we see is this is a Space Station V2 contract. So I'm not very sure what that is. It's claims, so it's most definitely NFTs. But what we can do then is come and go Space Station V2, V2 Avalanche. And we can see, we can go, this looks like the project. This is our contract on Avalanche. We can go introduction.
This is Galaxy. Galaxy is like a user engagement kind of module. It's like layer 3 or rabbit hole that drives engagement to projects.
So what we see is Galaxy is the leading platform for building Web3 communities with over 10 million, so they come in and they bring a lot of engagement to the ecosystem. So maybe this is why we're seeing such up and to the right activity. We're seeing a few of these projects bringing a lot of the engagement. That 10 million unique users is, obviously a few are coming to Avalanche.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Really exciting stuff on Avalanche. So it's not just the C chain that you can analyze. It's also the subnets, which is part of the Avalanche ecosystem. How do people get started? How do people partake in this excitement?
Yeah, so there's really 2 competitions that we have at the moment for analysts. So the first one is the Data Alchemist Boot-Camp Season 2. So people can go to covalenthq.com/data-alchemist and you can sign up there. You can also view the blog post to read more details about course content, rewards, and so on and so forth. The second is our Prompt Master competition. So we're rewarding $250 a week to those that come in, use the tool, and write analysis on the ecosystem that we're focusing on, which is Avalanche. So you can come in, have a look at the Dexalot chain, the DeFi Kingdoms chain, Bova Avalanche Layer 2, the Avalanche C chain. We decode a whole bunch of DEXs and NFTs, so you can look at Trader Joe, Pangolin. In NFTs, you can look at NFT Trade, Tofu NFT, Kaleo, so OpenSea. So a lot of really interesting things you can look at and analyze in the Avalanche ecosystem. So those are really the 2 exciting things we have for analysts at the moment.
Very cool. So it's going to be an exciting next couple of weeks with the bootcamp, and the Prompt Master is going to be running week after week. Good luck, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.